Fola. That's the order. Is this the order? We need to flip?
Here? I don't know.
No, no.
Jameson.
I'll just stand and...
No, you come.
So sorry.
In the middle of Adeleke.
Yeah.
We should be in the middle.
So,
I should be.
Yeah.
your mic.
Ruth was going to introduce you guys.
I think she did.
She did?
Yeah.
She did already. Okay, everyone. Thank you for coming here for the last panel of the day. People have been colloquially calling it the careers panel, which is essentially what you guys are here for. I'm a bit of a last-minute stand-in. I'm going to be moderating and doing the Q&A. My name is Dr. Tom Kirk. I'm the head of research at the FLIA, the Fields Largely Institute for Africa. These guys are going to introduce themselves and their area of work for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to move into the Q&A. I'll take 2 or 3 questions at a time. Whoever wants to respond from the panel can respond, and we'll keep going back and forth. Okay. So, guys, over to you. I'm going to ask you each to talk for 5 minutes. Please respect the time because we want these guys to have a chance. Right? Okay. So, Fola, would you like to kick us off?
Hello, everyone. For those who were not here yesterday, again, my name is Fola Adeleke. I'm a professor of law at St. Mary's University in Canada and also the executive director for a think tank called the Global Center on AI Governance. So I'm a lawyer by training. I used to work in the private sector for a few years before I then saw the gap really in terms of AI governance, especially in Africa, and then decided to, start this think tank with a former colleague, where we essentially support African governments in the development of their AI strategies, data and cloud policies, and we also work with private sector organizations who are looking to, advance, particular priorities in emerging AI governance frameworks. We also represent a number of foreign aid agencies who are, working with different African governments in the development of their AI governance frameworks. So I'm more than happy to talk about, my journey, what it looks like working within this space, and career pathways in relation to that. Thank you.
So hi everyone, my name is Olayinka Iyinolokan. I'm chief executive and founder at Ingenius AI. I like to describe my work as I work on last mile AI, and the way that I think about last mile AI is in 2 ways. First is the work that we do at Ingenius, which is we collect data sets and train speech recognition and text-to-speech models for African languages. Why we do that specifically is that earlier on, maybe 2 years ago, we tried to train a language model. It worked, but then Claude releases updates every 3 months. How do you compete with that? So we wanted to find where we could compete. And it's safe to say, if I do say so myself, based on benchmarks, that we have trained the most proficient text-to-speech models for 5 African languages as we continue to train more. And beyond training these models, it's how we then distribute it. The reason why we do it is we realize that Africans are speakers. We're oral in nature, in the ways that we communicate across markets, in our families, very expressive. So if AI is going to work in Africa, it would not be text-based, it would be speech, and it would be in loud spaces. So it's important to build models that speak people's languages, that speak accented English and French and Arabic, but that also has noise cancellation, because many of the spaces that we exist in are noisy. We're very expressive people, so we do what we do. So recognizing the challenge. But even if we train the best models in Africa, there are still existing challenges that we can't surmount. Many that have been mentioned over the last 2 days. but some that are more specific to us is that 35% of people still use feature phones. So they have to be able to operate these things. So we have found ways to connect these models into local telephones so that you're not operating on your data, which is very expensive in many countries. You're operating on our own servers so that you can call a basic phone number in any village and you can talk to an AI model. So that's also recognizing, like being on ground, recognizing the challenges and the ways that we can compete. But quickly on the other side of last mile AI, how we think about it is I've talked about the people who are less privileged, or maybe not proficient English speakers. For the ones that are proficient English speakers, graduates, very educated, like everyone in this room, it then becomes, how do you know how to use AI? Like there are new models every day, new frameworks, new workflows. You know, how can you keep up? The way that an HR person would use AI is different from the way that a CFO, an engineer, and there are many types of engineers. So we think about it as liquid learning, which is how learning needs to be. Learning shouldn't be a milestone. It should be a continuous process, or it should be a vibe. So that's the intersect that I do my work in. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ajayi, and to introduce myself, I will tell two very short stories. In 2019, after my first degree in Nigeria, in University of Ibadan in Nigeria, I went to the US and I saw my mates and people younger than me doing futuristic projects in AI, VR, and AR. And I realized that compared to what we're doing in Nigeria and Africa, then I studied mechanical engineering. It was worlds apart, planets apart. So it's just stuck in my head that, okay, I needed to be part of this future, but I didn't know specifically how. Then 3 years after, okay, next year, COVID hit. Then 2 years after, during COVID, I did some courses in machine learning, Google Cloud, so creating machine learning with Google Cloud and everything. But then in 2022, November, OpenAI released ChatGPT in November 2022, and that was my aha moment. And there was a quote that came to mind where during the 1849 gold rush in the United States, that the people that made the most money sold shovels, not those that dug the gold. So the aim was, okay, everyone thought, okay, those that dug the gold realistically would have been the richest or would have made the most money. But the first millionaire was a Brannan. He sold shovels to those that were digging the gold. So I thought about it in that context and said, okay, now there's so many startups. OpenAI has released ChatGPT. There's so many startups that are going to spring up. There's so much that's going to happen in this space. How can I position myself to be the shovel seller? How can I position myself to be in the middle of that ecosystem? So the way I figured to do that was to connect founders to the users, and also create a bridge between founders and products to the users, and also be the bridge from users to the founders. So explain AI in the most basic form for the users, and also connect founders to the users. Yeah, and I'd been in marketing and strategy and growth field. So then the aim was, okay, do consulting, strategy, and growth for AI companies and media. And that has turned out to us working with about 600 AI companies globally. I was just in San Francisco 2 days ago working with an AI company, and then it shows that, like, you would see that the slope, there's a data that shows in 2022, there were just 500 AI companies in the US, 500 AI powered companies. And in 2023, there was a 3,000% increase. There were 15,000 AI companies, and now there are hundreds of thousands. So yeah, that just introduces myself of how we intersect between AI consulting, strategy, growth, and research. We release quarterly industry report at the AI Colony.
Hi guys, my name is Julian Nana Owusu, founding partner of a company called Build the Company. And we are a transformation company. So we've been running for about 7 years now. and we've been helping to transform individuals, businesses, and now the government. We've done that in multiple ways over the few years. We've been building products, a lot of products, so digital products, apps, websites, platforms for different companies. And we've been really focused on people and how people interact with these products. And so doing that, we've been building in public and built this very large community of people who follow our company, follow the case studies that we put out there. And we've kind of become a voice for AI and just for product and tech in Ghana. We are based in Ghana, India, and also here in the UK. And things are going well so far. 6 months ago, we just launched a brand new AI Academy because we realized that in Ghana, nobody knows anything. And it's not just in Ghana, it's everywhere. Nobody knows anything. And if we're going to prepare for the future of work, we need to start preparing. The Academy has blown up in terms of demand. And so, yeah, we've just become the voice of AI and I guess the company that's training the public. So yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, I thought ladies first.
So I tried to do.
Yeah, the problem with speaking after so many intelligent people is you get confusing in between there. But yeah, my name is Irene Otieno. I'm from Kenya, but I do have, I'm in the tech space in England, basically. So my journey started, basically my background is in chemistry. I've worked around scientific data and that formed that created this journey that I have up to my my AI startup. And how that came about is I found a gap in how technology is narrated or is adopted among people of color, or I'd say the minority. And the other thing is also lack of representation, as you can see from this. There's like how many men here, and then only like one female. So there's that aspect. There's not a lot of tech female in the tech space, but also it was also important for me to bring in my scientific background into that space. Now into what I do at Cynea AI, we deploy enterprise AI solutions through agentic systems and autonomous workflows. So automation is a big part of our process. So we advise, but we also build. We build these intelligent systems. Sometimes we embed the solutions onto existing systems, or we build the systems with the SMEs we work with from scratch. Now, one thing that came as an agency for my startup is what probably would be an experience Julia has also had is there's that literacy gap with AI. There's a lot of talks around AI, but when it actually comes to the deployment, people don't understand how to go about it. I think the moderator who was sitting here, I think the first panel, even her, she was like, actually, what is AI and how can she use that? And I think most conversations are around, most conversations are like siloed conversations, and they talk about AI from a surrounding factor, and they don't really demystify what AI is. And some of those conversations, I don't blame them. They're either people who come in from a policy angle or from every other angle, but not the building factor around it. So I do work by and large with SMEs. That's how the startup started, but we've gone beyond SMEs to other functions. So one key engagement I have is also with the Kenyan and the Ugandan government, and working with them on capacity building and increasing digital footprint in those markets. But equally from, and I work in a way that from the lessons I learn here, I implement in emerging markets, but equally from the lessons I get there, I also implement them here. But the company is based here, it serves the European markets, but we are very big on capacity building in emerging markets. Yeah.
Thank you very much, panelists. Really strikes me that a lot of you are kind of AI brokers, and you're sitting at this intermediary level where you're talking to governments or companies and helping them understand what's going on here and demystifying in some way. I'm going to open up to the floor now. Please put your hands up if you'd like to ask. We'll take 2 or 3 questions. Panelists, give me a nod if you've want to address the questions, and then we'll move on. Okay. First, we'll go for the lady in the scarf down here, and the gentleman on the far left in the grey jacket, please. Got some microphones? Keep the questions reasonably short, please.
Well,
two gentlemen have grey jackets. Okay, far gentleman.
Well, thank you very much. So I am Dr. Vanessa Asayatikwi. I'm a medical doctor by profession. My question basically goes to the lady with a science background, because initially when everyone was speaking, it was just more arts, tech, etc. So how do you see the future of AI being integrated into the healthcare or the medical field, such that diagnosis and management is enhanced rather than being overshadowed or creating a sense of rivalry? Thank you.
Yeah, interesting. So I think how I view it is we need to go beyond AI as probably a tool or a model or models, right? And majority of these panels that agree, like what's
Olayinka.
I was looking for your name. So, with the existing models, we have like cloud, right? So we have these updates and, they can't keep up with the African, I'll say like the African way of doing things, or maybe our oral traditions as Africans. But going back to that question is we need to build with AI, right? We need to work with AI solutions rather than view it as a different or a separate tool to what we are doing. We need to adapt to it. That adaptation can look like either upskilling, that adaptation can look like working with innovators. And so health tech in Africa, I would say, it's one of the key sectors that actually do need quick adoption of AI, right? So yesterday, I think we had a panel like an hour or so ago, and they talked about, working with partnerships or working with innovators that have been there and are doing great. They already have the systems that could work for us, right? So I mentioned a company called Sora, is a Japan-based company. They do work with Africa. They do deploy AI drones in Africa to kind of help in the fight for malaria, not directly, but in helping building up the systems that will create more data insights and inform the policies that we use or our governments use or private sectors use in fighting malaria. So I hope that answers your question. Sorry, what was your question again? I think I got confused. Yeah. 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 Yeah, so I'll point that to AI literacy and AI illiteracy, right? So the common misconception is I use Chat now from a business perspective is I use ChatGPT. I'm cool. I don't need you to come and explain to me what AI, right? So a lot of people think ChatGPT is AI, and it is right? From my perspective, I know the limitations of ChatGPT, right? The difference between you and your patient is, the difference between what is factual and what is not factual, right? And this goes back to us talking about these models not giving us an output that is factual. It could be factual, but it could be skewed. It could be factual, but it is not contextual to the person who's putting in the input, right? And I guess this is where you, as a medic, you play a part in making sure that we correct these things, right? So ChatGPT is connected to local APIs, right? So where do you come from originally? Like, right, so you, for instance, you could work with your government in Ghana to work around these APIs that feed these models with information, health data from Ghana, right? And dynamics of health data from Ghana and the UK are a bit different, right? Do we agree? Yeah. I hope now I answer your question. Lovely.
Does anyone else want to comment on this question?
I think I would just, obviously, you said we have a tech perspective, so I'll probably give you that tech perspective. I think I'll talk about it based on two things. First off, like you said, those models are optimized for certain tasks, but there are certain models like Google's MedLM that are optimized for medical tasks, and folks like that will keep releasing models. But you have to know that it would be trained on data sets from probably temperate regions, and things that happen in tropic regions might be slightly different. And that person who you're treating might have come there from a week ago. So that context is what you're able to apply that the person is. But just realize that for 20 years, maybe 30, depending on how people have used Google search, people have always typed what their symptoms into Google search. They're just trying to carry over that into ChatGPT, maybe now more accuracy. But that's treatment. The other part of it is prevention. And I was talking to someone earlier about it. We've done some work with some people in Kenya, in Nairobi, and in Nigeria. A company called Cova Checkups uses AI to help people sign up for insurance. So for example, local people who would have filled forms, gone online to try to get insurance would call a number, and it would ask them, how many people are in your family? How old are they? What are their ages? Any pre-existing symptoms or diseases? And it's able to give these people like a quote for their insurance. That's a use case for cheap healthcare in Nairobi. And Helium Health in Nigeria uses it for preventive care for tuberculosis, diabetes, and one other thing, asking people about their family, about some things that it then responds to them if they are at risk or not. So based on healthcare, you have to look at it from the preventive healthcare side, which is more important in Africa because people don't have resources to get treatment. But then when there's more research, more funding, I believe a lot of research is done here and in Boston into like treatment and more MedLMs. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kwame. I'm also from Ghana, and my question is a follow-up from what Dr. Vanessa actually asked, because I'm from a pharmacy, public health, and also I'm a podcaster. My question is directed to every single person on the panel, especially Julian, who made mention about your academy. I would like to ask, is the African governments or even the Ghanaian government ready for AI to be implemented in healthcare? Because from my public health point of view, prevention is one of the ways that we can help to be able to resolve the cases of chronic conditions. So what are the African governments doing to make sure that we're able to catch up and the research that needs to be done? Because maybe we might actually be ahead of our time and we might decide to come down to Ghana or Africa to implement some of these in our healthcare. But are they going to give us the room for us to implement it, or there's going to be obstacles? So that's my question. Thank you.
I can take this. There's definitely going to be obstacles. I think from my dialogue with them so far, they are open to it. However, I'm probably one of the only voices right now speaking about this. And I think what we do need is more people building products first to show that it works, rather than waiting for the government. You know, and I say this all the time. Sometimes we give the government too much credit and we think that they need to build for us. They don't need to build for us. Their job is policy. Our job, we are the innovators. Our job is to build. Our job is to create things. And so we can't keep running to them. We need to go and show them what we've done. And so for me, I never have a conversation with anyone in the government or anyone unless I've already started. You know, so I build my own stage. And I think we need to have that mindset to build our own stage. So you're a pharmacist, start building. You know, it's easier now than ever to start building an MVP for anything, you know. And so I think we have to start, and then we have to show them that, okay, this is the traction that we've got. We've got 2,000, 3,000 people using this, but with your help, we can take it to the next level. Or this is how it fits in with your manifesto. It has to fit in with what they are doing as well. If it doesn't fit in with their manifesto, they're not listening to you. And that's okay, because they have their mission and we also have our mission. And every party that comes into power have their mission. If you're not trying to fit in with that, they're not going to listen to you. That's just the way it is. So yeah, absolutely, there's challenges, but I think that's the fun part, you know, the challenges. Yeah. So let's get started. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also goodwill, I would love to believe. If you were here yesterday in the morning, the former vice chair of Ghana was actually here, and he talked about how his dad died of, I think it was a lack of blood situation. And after that, I think he was involved in a technology, an AI-based technology that, you know, would have saved his dad. If I don't know if it was a case the technology was discovered later or before, but he did not have that access. And given that he's a person of that stature, so I think that there's goodwill. But even him himself said there's bureaucracy in between there, and obviously we know with all African governments this is a problem. But I think it's time for us, all of us, to go beyond that, especially as diasporians, right? Because we now have the knowledge, we have the experience. We need now to work through ways that we can go beyond that.
Yeah, so to just buttress on what they've said, I think to bring value in AI, there's a combination of like 4 things. There's the AI literacy part, and now AI literacy is it's like electricity, it's like data. Like almost everyone can, to an extent, use the basic tools. But now, one important part is domain depth. It's like going into a specific domain like healthcare, literature, research, and just really digging deep into it. So a combination of AI literacy, domain depth, then a proof of work, putting out as much as possible, talking about what you're doing, then also then distribution. Distribution is key in any field. Like if you create something and you just keep it to yourself and no one hears about it, it's like no one uses it. So I think a combination of those four things creates value in the society that we are in. So that is just to purchase on what said about just building now that the tools are like very accessible.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to address that a little bit as well. Last year, I was involved in a project potentially going to be funded by the European Union to collect chest X-rays from Uganda and from Europe, and to use that data in a machine learning model to try and identify the early signs of SARS-like viruses. And there was a huge amount of challenges. There was a huge challenge around actually collecting those X-rays from hospitals in Uganda and from field work. There was a challenge around who owns that data, who owns those X-rays. And then, really surprisingly to us, but it makes a lot of sense, there's a huge amount of mistrust amongst Ugandan medical professionals and Ugandan governments about sharing that data with Europeans. Europeans don't have a great history of taking or extracting data from African countries. So these things are huge. They're not insurmountable, but the more you unpeel this, the more you see these challenges that need to be overcome. And trust is at the center of a lot of these things, governance and trust. It's kind of fascinating. Anyway, we'll take some more questions, so please put your hands.
Okay. The lady in the glasses down there, and the man in the beige top.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much to the panel. Really appreciate the breakdown of what you guys all do. I'm going to ask this question very much from a non-technical point of view, because I don't have a technical background. I don't have a technical background in technology or in AI. My question is, when considering career pathways, such as, for instance, I have an interest in AI ethics. If you were going to get into AI safety, do any of you have any advice on how to get into that and what people like me would should pursue in terms of the skills if you want to get into a career path like AI safety? I'm aware that none of you spoke about AI safety, although I think Professor Fola Adeleke, you might have an idea about this, but just in case, could any of you like to possibly help me out with that?
Thank you. So I have a team of about 15 people who work in my think tank, and they all come from different backgrounds. I've got an anthropologist, someone working in law, an economist, someone working in development, in policy making. And, one of the courses that I offer in partnership with the University of Cape Town is actually on AI ethics and policy in Africa, that is offered through the medical school at the University of Cape Town. And to your specific question about career pathways, and we, as the Global Center on AI Governance, have set up, the first AI safety hub in Africa in partnership with the University of Cape Town. And that involves, quite a number of partners. But the point I'm trying to get to really is, your educational background, is not as important as, the kind of pathways you want to pursue in relation to ethics and safety. There are different angles you can potentially take. And I've found that, an interdisciplinary approach to these questions, usually work well when we are conducting research and engaging in governance conversations with African governments. So depending on what your background is, there's always an opportunity and there's always an angle to potentially pursue in relation to ethics and safety. For our AI ethics and policy course, right, even though it's offered through, the Faculty of Medicine, and you potentially will get a lot of applicants who have a health background, the reality is, the people who come into that program come from different walks of life, right? They have different educational backgrounds, and they are looking at safety from, very, very different perspectives. More often than not even a technical perspective. So certainly having those kind of, conversations with, think tanks who specialize in this area, and collaborating to do research in this space with others will certainly ground your footing in this career choice you want to make.
I could add on something. Maybe you might want to see me later. So the startup I worked for before I started my own, we were working. My boss was he worked for the government on a lot of things. So during COVID, we had a project where the government approached him on a project around AI safety, but from a career-based perspective, right? From combining different careers and how. But this was hugely linked to COVID. But you might find some use cases in there. But what you didn't tell us is your background, though.
I'm currently doing a PhD in sustainability reporting, and also I'm involved in a research project that's looking at AI ethics in business decision making.
Yeah, so you're a perfect example of how probably human psychology and AI fluency comes into place. Whereas the existing models, recognize patterns, and then you as a human in the loop, you bring in your lived experiences, your ethical perspective, your sustainability angles into place. So just topping up on what he said about AI safety coming from different angles. Yeah.
So I would ask you to spend some time trying to figure out what's under the hood for AI, how the models work, how agents work. Because, I think everyone is a participant in AI safety, right? But you have to know what's under the hood so that when you're making an argument, for safety, from whatever perspective you're coming from, you would be able to make it from a point of of knowing what's under the hood. Especially, I'll ask you to spend some time reading up on something called OpenClaw and agentic AI, because those complexities and will determine safety in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Besmo from Guinea, studying at Queen Mary. So this question is for the panel. As an early stage founder building solutions for African markets, how do you build credibility when local clients who are skeptical about homegrown tech, especially when competing against the perception that foreign is better? Thank you.
Here I go.
So in Guinea, they think foreign is better. Yeah? If they think, I'll tell you this is the truth, right? You want to hear the truth. If they think foreign is better, it's your fault. Yeah. You're the reason why they think foreign is better. Because there must be a reason why they think foreign is better. It's probably the way you position yourself, the way your brand looks, your tone of voice. There's something that they are seeing that is making them feel like that's better. Now, the reason why I say that is because our first company, which was a fintech company, I built in public for a reason. The reason why I built in public, I literally showed people what we were doing in our office so that it built the trust. Because especially digital products, like for a physical product, if I want to buy this bottle of water, I can go to the shop, fill the bottle, see the product, see the packaging, and then buy the water. But online, I can't do that, right? And so the question you need to ask is, how can you make somebody trust you and trust your product or service? You need to show them how you're building it. You need to show them that as a founder, I care about this product, and this is why I'm building it. If you do that, people will trust you, and people will see that, no, this guy cares, and we're going to use his product. I hope that makes sense. That's it.
We can move on.
Okay, a couple more questions. The guy's waving at me in the red tie. Great technique. And the lady in the glasses.
Hi, thank you so much for the panel. My name is Oluseun, and I work in local government. And I guess my question really is around...
You hold the microphone close to you.
So obviously we've been here for the whole weekend, and we've heard lots of different interesting ways in which AI integrates with Africa and development. But I guess from an individual level, how can we really make a difference, a tangible difference? And I guess for me, one thing that really stands out is, so you talk about, or Swinky spoke about kind of the idea of startups and that there's things happening already on the ground within AI and Africa. But how do we create that synergy so that if I was or if somebody was supporting with farming in Nigeria and wanted to integrate AI, as we've heard, there's different initiatives in that space. So how do we kind of join the dots together? And how can an individual, such as myself, that is trying to kind of get into the space, how can I kind of get into these areas? And a tag on to that, sorry. I guess all of you have been asked to speak in this panel, right? So you all, in some way, probably have positioned yourself from your kind of personal or professional portfolio. But how does an individual that, again, is trying to navigate this and also kind of make a mark and, establish themselves, how did they also get that?
Yeah, and foundational top tips for moving into this space from you guys.
Okay, I got into the space through a PhD. So 60% of people who train AI models are PhDs, 30% are masters, people that have masters in an AI field, and then 10% are enthusiasts and people who come through. Now, but you don't have to be train a language model because there's so many of them out there already. and it takes a long time to get a PhD. And by the time you're done, there's a new field coming out there, and we're now in the robotics era, and now we're now doing new. So why get into it if you aren't in it yet? I'm not stopping anyone who's trying to do that. But there are many other ways that you can find your current strengths, things that you're great at, and then find ways to merge it. Because the truth is, as we progress into the future, most of us will go through different jobs in one career. We might start out as financial people, and then Claude can now write spreadsheets. So before you know it, you might have to start doing something new, and then they train an AI model to do it. And so your job, the skill that you can have, the strongest skill you can have is to learn, and learn fast when there's a new thing, to stay with the trend, learn fast, and position yourself so that when new opportunities present themselves, because I can't tell you to go study anything or to go learn anything, because it will be disrupted very soon. So except if you want to be a plumber, a roofer, that wouldn't get disrupted. But for technical white collar jobs, you just have to, expose yourself to understanding how it works, workflows, and then implementing them.
Just adding to what is said. So I'm sure you already have like a field you're in right now, and now with the AI tools and the updates, like you said, Claude brings updates not even every 3 months. Every day they release a new feature, and you're like, bro, just calm down. Give us a second to. But the best way to actually learn these things is by doing them. It's like also using them. Like, okay, so you have a specific field you're in. You're in literature. You're in agriculture. You're in healthcare. You'll find the best tools. Like you pick maybe 1 or 2, then go really in depth into them. Like use them for your workflows. Use them for your daily life. Use them for your specific tasks. Because every day the jobs that were created, the jobs of 5 years ago, they change every day. It's like how the internet came and newspapers and listings. A lot of jobs like SEO came into place. UI UX design, cloud architecture. A lot of things just came into place with the advent of the internet. That's the same way now with AI. A new wave of jobs would come into place, and you have to position yourself, and not just just learning. Like, yeah, you're learning AI, but learning it with a field you're interested in. You're going deep into a domain, a specific domain that you are used to, that you can apply with. Yeah.
I'll talk from my perspective. This is my 3rd career. I was a football player, and then I became a product manager when I retired from football, and then I started the company. And transitioning 3 times, in each and every season, I was just becoming it, if that makes sense. And when we talk about AI and all of this stuff, like the truth is nobody knows anything. None of us. I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'll be honest with you. I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I'm just figuring it out. And you just have to be. Yeah, your question was, how do we make a mark? Like, just be it and just start, and do the work. Because nobody knows anything. As intelligent as some people sound, we don't know nothing. But we have some qualities that maybe the average person doesn't have. And I have some qualities I know the average person, I know how to learn. I know how to master things. Like, I can do anything. Like, ask me to master something, I'll master it. Just give me some time. Yeah. And I think that quality is what everyone needs right now when it comes to AI. It's so brand new that no one knows anything, which is the beauty of it. Like a pharmacist, someone in safety, in agriculture, we don't know. And so whatever you think it should be is what it will be. But you have to do it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I agree with all of them. I just wanted to add something quite quick, that if you have a specific area that you want to focus on, it's also quite important to just reach out to have conversations with people. I've been quite surprised at the number of people that have hired either as employees or consultants through LinkedIn, and folks who just inboxed me, and they had an interesting background, and their outreach was quite timely, and turned out that they were a need that we needed, which I wasn't actively thinking about. So I think that being proactive in having conversations, especially if there's a particular area you want to work in, or folks who work in that area who could potentially open doors for you, it works. I starting off my career, when people told me that I needed to network, it wasn't something that I was quite comfortable doing, and I'm still not necessarily comfortable doing it, but I'm quite surprised at the number of people that work with me now, and it was because I didn't know them in the past and they didn't apply for a specific job. It was because they reached out to me via LinkedIn.
Question down there.
Okay. Thank you, panel. My name is Imim. I'm studying a master's in energy systems at Oxford. My focus is researching how we can strategically plan artificial intelligence infrastructure in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa to be specific. Panel, you've already started answering my questions, and Julian's comment on nobody knowing anything makes me wonder, okay, should I still ask it? Because it's about the future of work. A lot has been spoken about the future of work in the past 2 days. And I just wanted to hear from the panel, so yesterday we spoke about jobs, replacing old jobs. What are the jobs that you think will replace the current jobs on ground? I think I want at least an example from everyone on the panel to help me plan what I'll do after my master's. Thank you.
I kind of knew that question would come up. So should we take it in turn? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So kind of linking what she asked and yours. So curiosity is one thing. And true to what Julia said, these things it's almost like experimentation, right? So I have 2 degrees in chemistry. I have a BSc from Kenya and an MSc from here. But even after studying it for 6 years, I knew laboratory work is not my work. Data is where you will find me in. That's my sweet spot. But I only came to realize that down the line, right? So it's very cliche, but experiment, you will find your interest and then just go by it. It's just as simple as that.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. When I was a product manager. I was working here in London for probably one of the biggest design agencies called Landor, a WPP company. And my job was to build products. When I left my 9 to 5, I became a freelancer, product manager. Almost every time I would have an interview, it was never an interview, it was a conversation. And I was interviewing them and I was asking them questions. And the reason why I had the confidence to do that is because I was always learning product management. And I always knew what was new in the space. And I had formed my own opinion of how an organization should work and should run and how we should be building products. I engraved myself into the knowledge of product management. And so I could demand the money, my daily rate. I could demand how I wanted to work and when I wanted to work and the type of team that I wanted to work with. But it's because I had the mindset of learning. I was always learning. I'm still always learning. And that's why I had the confidence to have those conversations. So they would always ask me, when can you start? It was never an interview. And with this whole AI revolution, it's the same thing. It's a mindset thing where we need to be, and I understand it's moving so quickly, but we need to be learning constantly. We cannot afford to not be learning. And that's the whole reason why we started the AI Academy, is because people can't, all of us, it's not just Africans, we can't afford not to be learning right now. If it's an hour or 2 hours a day, learn, study. And to your question of which roles, these roles don't exist. They don't exist. Last year we was talking about a prompt engineer. That doesn't exist anymore. We don't need prompts. Like it does it automatically. Do you understand? I've seen one this year, AI automation manager, maybe. That's probably one that's coming. Somebody who goes into a traditional organization, maps out how they're working, and then comes up with tools. And this is a business idea, by the way, should do it. Comes up with all the tools that is needed to automate the organization, or maybe an AI architect or whatever. But I feel like if you're learning, you need to believe that there's a role coming in the future that doesn't exist yet that you are preparing for, if that makes sense. When social media came, there was no such thing as a social media manager. But all of a sudden, it's like a 40K, 50K job. It didn't exist 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So I don't think you should be, if you're a student, I don't think you should be worried about, which role should be out there that I'm going to do. I think you should be continuously learning so that when you get an interview, apply for anything. When you have the conversation, they might create a role for you, if that makes sense. That's how early we are in this thing. I personally don't know a role that's going to be there in the next 5 years or in the next year. I personally do not know that. In my organization, we're making it up. Honestly, I come in, okay, cool. You are an AI engineer. Come, let's go. Like, honestly, that's what we're doing right now. But as we're working and moving things, then title doesn't matter. It matters about output and the work that you're doing, but the actual title doesn't matter. But if you're the right person who's been learning, you'll get a job. If you're not learning, you won't get a job. Simple as that.
As the book said, I feel curiosity is like the key. It's so important. For me, I've had 3 degrees. I started off in mechanical engineering, then did a first master's in project management. Then everyone, like 2 years ago, I was like, oh, AI. I already started my AI company, but I was like, AI. So let me do a master's. So I'm currently doing a master's at King's in AI. Yeah, so it's like and in between that, I also did a lot of courses in business strategy, in marketing, in sales, and everything throughout the years, and automation, everything. So it's just continuously learning, being curious. Like every day right now, I spend about 3 hours, 2-3 hours on Claude, just playing around, putting workflows, just using Claude Cowork or using Claude Code, various tools around that. So it's just you learn by doing, and like they said, there's in 5 years you don't know the specific roles that will be present. It's just keep learning, just being curious, keep using these tools, keep creating workflows with them, and yeah.
All right. Do you want the good part or the bad part? I will start from the good part. I think there will always be a job for you in Africa. I think that Africa, since that's the theme for the program, I think that Africa has the greatest upside for AI, especially because we haven't fully industrialized. I think that using AI, a lot of smart people in here and on the continent will use that to industrialize and create a lot of jobs. On the flip side, I think that a lot of jobs, conventional, traditional white-collar jobs, are at risk here. I read a report. Someone did a mapping of 342 jobs in the United States, and that covers probably 147 million people. And when they map those jobs that you think about and dream about are, on a scale of 1 to 10, are 7 upwards. Software engineers. We told people 2 years ago, go learn to code. Now it's gone. So like they said, many of those jobs will not be available. Now, what that does and what they have created, IDEs, like things you can vibe code with. So probably you spend your weekends exploring your ideas, because now you can fully explore into an MVP, not to be an entrepreneur only, but that sometimes exploring your ideas and putting it out there helps you get rid of those bad ideas until you meet the good one. And that might get you your next job. That might help you build a billion-dollar company, or probably when we get to a point where we're open to universal basic income, probably that might help you be a housewife or house husband, whatever.
I think they've all, put the best advice forward. All I just had to that is be flexible, adapt as necessary, and go with the flow. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Our time is up. So, grey jacket man number 2 and lady at the back, if you come out to the green room, you can doorstep these guys and I will let you in and you can just get them straight. I'll put your question straight to them, okay? So with that, please can you help me thank the panel? Some great...
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you. That was a fantastic panel, and I'm so glad this is the way that we could end off the summit. But before we close, we have one more opportunity to connect. So this is a facilitated sector-based networking session, and you'll have the chance to meet people working in your specific area of interest. So please feel free to just stay here, talk to people you're interested in, and just have really engaging conversation. So you have 30 minutes and really make the most of it. Thank you, guys.
Hi everyone, if I can quickly have your attention. If you would like to have a conversation with any of the members from the careers panel, they're outside and we're hosting a facilitated, engaging question and answer. So you're able to speak to them and you have a 30-minute slot to do that. Thank you.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, overall, it's bad. I'm an optimist, so I do think that to be an optimist.
I don't know. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't experienced that in my circuits. One of the but I don't know. I have heard of some of the candidates, but we had to change because it's possible. Yeah, I think so. So, but I don't know. Yes, exactly. Maybe they should, I don't know, research study where they just read
But then think about it, like business, if you have, for example, like a payments company or something, could you trust like yourself to buy code, or would you actually hire a company? And I think that's a relatively strong argument.
What do you think of the way AI is going to prevent in general? Finding spaces to play with databases, and also with the water supply, and also with the safety of database being so close to residential segregation privacy, community private databases in London, and they're just feeling on the whole areas. And it's just like, why are you planning to put one, a massive one, like 200 meters away, and they've got about 8 days in actual and then all this mesh development from our database leading to coming out now, like naturally outside. You place me in an area that's so it's only great to make it. Yeah, so it's like there are so many of them, we're going to start seeing problems down the line. So again, it's another issue. Yeah, issue yesterday. Yeah, because there was a session, but there was one that was supposed to be a bit more about the costs associated with AI. Yeah. Water and food. I don't think I've seen that one, but I was here yesterday. Yeah. Anyways, so I expected it to be, more into just like environmental concerns. Yeah, I was like, how was that? So I came yesterday because of the vice president and Ingenius. So then later on, I don't know. So I was thinking, to make friends. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see the way. Yeah, no, because in my circles, there's something I feel always scared that job jobs. I say, well, please don't mistakes. And with that, no, that was a whole are important. Yeah, but then I was like, you would expect, like, at a university, really, like, I mean, let's face it, like, very privileged people. We should be arguing about themselves. I hear about this because by the time, like, that's just I will get it, or like I will get my car in a long term, now that I have money elsewhere. That's just not the way to think about anything. Amongst the non-normal people, they're not going to talk about it. I don't expect them to. They really. I think even the president, they just kind of brush it. Yeah, we also need to see the sustainability. But how are you going to do it? You're explaining how. And then until there is a disaster or two, that's when we're starting to do it.
Yes, you don't have much water insecurity here, but like in Africa, there's every day.
Yes, so you know, one of the special, if you went to special before, the breakout sessions. Sorry,
are we gonna
stay here, but maybe you want to move outside?
Yeah, so what?
Yeah. I joined
Okay, well, sometimes you have a microphone. Someone fell off that stage, by the way. Yeah, okay. You ready, cuz? Oh, never mind, never mind. Wait.
There's so much stuff on my face. Oh.
Over the past 2 days, we have debated, deliberated, and dreamed together. We've heard from over 30 speakers across 8 panels, a keynote, a debate, a film screening, and policy breakout sessions. This summit has been more than just conversation. It has been about contribution. Before I let you go, Brad, to every speaker, moderator, and panelist, thank you for giving so generously of your time and expertise. You truly brought this program to life. To our wonderful MCs, Ruth, Rana, and Maxwell, from our very own team, thank you for keeping us on track and on our feet. A round of applause, please, as I call them onto the stage.
Wait, what's happening?
A big, big thank you to all of our volunteers for their support as we also call them onto the stage. I'm just practicing.
No.
I think there might be a purple bottle inside the green room. Would it be in the green room?
Hmm?
Okay, I'll continue and then you tell me.
I don't see anything here.
Okay.
Yeah, come
Get
here.
on stage. A special thank you to the Feroz Lalji Institute for Africa, and in particular to Sofia Spasanoska and Mark Briggs, who have guided us through this journey at every turn. A big thank you. To the organizing team, the students who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to bring this vision to life. Remember these faces, because you will be seeing them in remarkable positions before very long. And finally, I would like to invite to the stage the co-directors who ensured everything ran seamlessly. Please join me in a round of applause as I invite on stage Ali Lusengo, our Director of Media, Tara Andre, our Head of Finance and Sponsorships, and Kaiman Nwajagu, is that how you say it? Nwajagu, our Director of Logistics. Please come up. I didn't know you were going to be here. Also, you're leaving. Yeah, of course. Get that. And then even those guys. Why am I doing logistics? Tests. Okay, the main.
Welcome to the side session.
I thought he would. Wait, I need to get the policy people here. One second. Unplug it. I'm so sorry, I'm moving. Sorry, I should have been more careful.
Sarah. AI in Africa. Wait. Yes, I do. It's in my bag. Do you want it? Wait. No, but you need what? Types lightning? I have it. Do you want it? AI. Of course. I. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello? Hello.
This mic is not operating. Oh, this mic is operating.
Hello. We wrap up on just been also breakout sessions is produce real substantial outputs. Those who live while beyond this room.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back in. Welcome.
Or is this mic better?
Hello, everyone. Please take your seats.
I don't know if this mic is on.
Or I need to orate my voice.
Project into it.
Projection.
Yes. Are there not? There's not papers.
I told them they're going to be in the line. That's why I got rid of everything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you please take your seats rather promptly, that'd be great. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. If you could please take your seats promptly, that'd be great. Hi, everyone. If you could just make your way into the seats, that'd be fantastic, and we can keep conversation going afterwards. But we wanted to have our concluding remarks begin shortly, so if you can please make your way down and occupy the very many chairs that are in front of you. Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. So before we wrap up, I want to highlight something truly special about this summit. Over the past 2 days, you haven't just been an audience, you have been contributors. The policy breakout sessions this afternoon produced real, substantive outputs, and those will live on beyond this room. And our team will now present them.
Hi, I'm Agnes. I'm speaking about the problem and policy recommendations for Group 1, which is who writes the algorithm. One of the problems that we identified was the fact that African knowledge systems are missing from the AI data sets and how AI replicates colonial extraction patterns because the control and value sit outside Africa, and Western frameworks dominate bias and misrepresentation. And the policy recommendation was invest in digitizing African languages, philosophy, and cultural knowledge, as well as building independent systems and prioritizing our sovereignty over data and infrastructure. And one of the interesting quotes from a panelist was that this is not new colonialism, this is colonialism in digital form. And AI is not about technology, it is about who has power, whose knowledge counts, and who benefits.
Afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. Sorry, I wanted to wake you up a bit. I know it's been so long. So thank you for bearing with us. In panel 2, we talked a lot about innovation in Africa and algorithms built in Africa for Africa. And we realized that this is the foundation that we need. We need AI systems that are built here and the infrastructure that is built on the continent. But at the same time, we also realized that we can't be too over optimistic and just dream, but we also have to stay realistic. And I think what we talked about is that leapfrogging through AI is definitely possible and is needed. And while we wait for all the innovation and the infrastructure to happen, we have to use what we have right here now. So we said we should use the things that we have and mainly invest in upskilling and in making sure that people have the skills that they need, and also the entrepreneurial skills that they need to then leverage on AI.
Thank you. I'm Johnson Lawal, and I was part of the panel 3, which spoke about climate change, climate footprints of AI across water, across energy and infrastructure. We all know AI is accelerating, but this brings a new set of challenges for Africa. Today, we don't have the power grid to power our AI infrastructure. We don't have the data centers, and building this also brings about certain new problems. From our conversation in the panel, one of the outputs of it was that Africa needs to come up with a green AI energy policy. So not just building the infrastructure, but also accompanying it with a policy that is green, that just helps us build this sustainably. Secondly, we talk about investment in small language models. So our panelists shared this interesting idea. Now, why shouldn't some of these AI models be hosted on our phones, since Africans have a lot of phones? So that's a potential approach for Africa to solve the problem of infrastructure. And lastly, we talked about thinking about sovereignty from a different angle. Our panelist, Fola Adeleke, talked about what we call data embassies, where these data centers can be hosted in one country, maybe in Africa, and other people form treaties with this country in order to leverage on those resources without having to build duplicate data center across board. I think I'll just end with a statement that the decisions made today will define Africa's position in AI economy for the next generation. The time to act is now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be representing panel number 4, which was about the rules of the game, so data sovereignty, AI governance, and continental strategy. The main thing that emerged from this panel was that the African continent currently faces a critical disconnect between the rapid creation of AI strategies and policy documents and the actual exercise of political and economic power. This means that Africa is often a rule taker rather than a rule shaker when we're thinking about the rules of the game, and it's a very rapidly evolving game, as we have seen over the last 2 days. One of the big policy recommendations that the group wanted to share with you this evening was that AI is actually, in actual fact, being developed by African youth and women, and therefore their presence in policy circles is crucial. But this policy-making process must be democratized by including indigenous communities and civil society voices. Thank you.
Right, for panel 5 on maximizing value across public and private sectors, the recommendation was that the African Union must build a binding, visible framework for technology and knowledge transfer from the West within African diaspora experts, serving as a bridge, bringing skills, network, and capital back to drive an AI agenda built by Africans and then for Africa. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So we are handling panel 6 of the discussion, which was on education systems and youth unemployment in an AI economy. So one of the basic issues that arose in that panel was the structural mismatch that existed between the education systems and the labor market and the labor market's needs in the AI-driven economy. So for our recommendation, or from the policy breakout sessions, the most recommended policy recommendation we got was that we redesign Africa's education systems from theory-based to hands-on experiences, which embeds AI literacy as a core skill from primary school upwards, so that the next generation builds the technology rather than just consuming it. So embedding AI literacy from the very early stages of our education, of our educational systems, rather than leaving it to the latter part where we are all trying to find out, oh, what do we have to do, or how do we have to get involved in this whole AI trend. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for your attention. This is only to give you a high-level summary of the deliberations we've had, over the last 2 days, yesterday and today. We would form a committee, put everything into a proper policy document, and then it will be disseminated to you as well, with credit also being given to you for all the inputs. that you've made into, our discussions. Thank you for your time once more.
So good evening, everyone. It's probably afternoon, but it feels like evening for sure. I know everyone's really tired, so I'll make it really quick. And thank you for all attending the closing ceremony. Over the past 2 days, we have debated, deliberated, and dreamed together. We've heard from over 30 speakers across 8 panels, a keynote, a debate, a film screening, and policy breakout sessions. This summit has been just more than just conversation. It has been about contribution. To every speaker, moderator, and panelist, especially Dr. Tom Kirk, who stepped in twice, thank you for giving so generously of your time and expertise. You really brought this program to life. I want to give a round of applause to our wonderful MCs, Ruth, Rana, and Maxwell, whom I'd like to invite on stage. Side. A big thank you to all of our volunteers for their support, whom I'd also like to invite on stage. They've been doing all the hard work backstage, all the setting up that you don't see. A special thank you to the Feroz Lalji Institute for Africa, and in particular to Sofia Spasanowska, who is where? Right there. Thank you. A round of applause. And Mark Briggs over there. Now, finally, to the organizing team. These are the students who have worked tirelessly to bring the vision to life. These are the people who have been sending you emails, talking to you about logistics, simply everything that you see. And remember their faces, because they'll be the next politicians and the next CEOs and the next businessmen. So let me invite them on stage. Nadia, Ifani, all of our teams. Look at that beautiful team. Let's get a round of applause for them once again. Finally, and really finally, I would like to invite on stage the co-directors who ensured everything ran seamlessly. Please join me in a huge round of applause for Ali Lusengo, our Director of Media, Tara Andre, our Head of Finance, and Kaiman Wajagu, our Director of Logistics. Please come up with a big round of applause.
And our final thank you to Knowledge Me, who's been a wonderful host and head of speaker team.
Finally, thank you to all of you for showing up, for engaging, and above all, for caring for Africa's future. It has never been a more timeful time to have this conversation, and we hope that we all stay in touch. If there's any contact you require, it's now to take them and go home, really taking home all of the conversations that we've had here. Thank you very much. We hereby close the LSE Africa Summit 2026.
okay? Someone's phone.
Oh, I was thanked. I was thanked.
No.
I was thanked.
No, come back. Yeah.
Come back.
Afrobeat. Also, just because she thanked everyone, but no one knows the work and the hours that Noor put into this. So we want to thank Noor as well. Okay, now it's officially closed.
Hello? Hello? Oh, yes. And one final thank you to the twin photographers, Sam and Emmanuel, who have been covering the content of this summit. Thank you so much.
Where's the music?
Okay.